When I moved to Tampa, I believed I had finally outrun my bad luck. The sunshine, the palm trees, and the promise of a new beginning had filled me with hope. But as I sat on the edge of the worn-out futon in my studio apartment, staring at the blinking past due notice on my phone, that hope began to crumble. My name is Rachel Bennett. I'm 26, and 3 months ago, I packed up everything I owned into the trunk of my beat-up Honda and drove here to escape a toxic job, a broken engagement, and a city that had drained me dry. Now I was here, in a tiny one-bedroom apartment on the second floor of a crumbling building owned by the Moore family. The rent was high, at least for someone working part-time at a cafe and doing online transcription gigs just to scrape by. I hadn't told anyone back home how bad things had gotten. Not even my sister, Lindsay. Pride, maybe. Or denial. Or both. The first month, I was late by 5 days. The second, by a week. I tried calling Mr. Moore, the landlord, to explain, but he never answered. His voicemail was always full. The only time I ever got any kind of response was when his son, Tyler, showed up at my door. The first time I met Tyler, I thought he was a delivery guy. Ball cap on backward, scuffed Vans, a white t-shirt stretched across his athletic build. He looked like he belonged in a college frat house, not the office of a property management company. "You're Rachel?" he asked, eyes scanning the inside of my apartment. I nodded, my heart pounding. "Just came to check on the rent. My dad asked me to follow up," he said casually, leaning against the doorframe. "I'm sorry," I began. "I had some unexpected expenses. I can have half today and the rest by Friday." Tyler smirked, pulling his phone from his back pocket. "Friday's a little late. But I guess we can work something out." Something about the way he said it gave me pause. There was a friendliness to his voice, but underneath it, something else lingered. I thanked him, handed over the half I had, and promised the rest soon. But Friday came and went, and the money didn't. That's when things started to shift. Tyler came by again the next day, this time with 2 of his friends, Jake and Devon. I recognized them from around the building. They were always hanging out in the parking lot, blaring music, tossing a football. Devon had that smooth, too charming kind of smile, and Jake never said much, just watched. "Look," Tyler said as I opened the door, "we get it. Times are tough. But this place isn't rent-free." "I know," I said quickly, trying not to sound defensive. "I'm doing everything I can. I just need a little more time." He looked at his friends, then back at me. "We're not here to make trouble. But maybe there's a way you can pitch in, if you can't pay cash." I stared at him, the meaning behind his words hanging heavy in the silence. "I'm not," I started, but Tyler interrupted. "Relax. I'm talking about something simple. Jake does car detailing. Devon's got a little side hustle flipping furniture. We've been short on help lately. Maybe you help us out a couple hours a week." Nothing shady. The relief I felt was immediate, but I couldn't ignore the strange dynamic forming. I wasn't being asked. I was being cornered. Still, I nodded. "Okay. If it helps cover rent, I'll do it." That's how it began. Over the next few weeks, my life was consumed by the 3 of them. I helped Jake buff and polish cars in the Florida heat. My arms ached from scrubbing interiors and vacuuming trunks. With Devon, I hauled old dressers from yard sales, sanded them down, and painted them pastel shades he swore were trending online. Tyler, on the other hand, mostly supervised. Sometimes he'd drive me to the jobs. Sometimes he'd just show up at my apartment and sit on the futon like he owned the place. I started missing my shifts at the cafe. I was exhausted. They never gave me cash, but Tyler insisted it was all being deducted from what I owed. I didn't have the nerve to ask for proof. One evening, I sat with Tyler on the cracked balcony outside my unit. The sky was streaked pink and orange. He handed me a beer without asking if I wanted one. "You're not from here, huh?" he asked. "No. Boston. Cold up there. Why'd you come here?" I shrugged. "Needed a reset." He studied me for a beat. "Well, we're helping you out. Least you can do is hang with us sometimes, you know?" That sentence stayed with me. The least you can do part. The next day, he showed up again, this time with more friends. They brought pizza, beer, loud music. My apartment turned into a party without my consent. I sat in the corner, feeling like an outsider in my own home. Jake laughed loudly, Devon told exaggerated stories, and Tyler kept glancing over at me like I owed him something more. The following week, Tyler began dropping hints that I wasn't pulling my weight. I reminded him of all the work I was doing, but he brushed it off. "You live here, don't you?" he said one night. "That's not how favors work. We're not a charity." I felt trapped. I'd accepted their terms, and now they were shifting without warning. But what could I do? I had no money, no family nearby, and nowhere to go. So I kept cleaning, kept sanding, kept nodding through their endless requests. One night, after a long day working with Devon, I came home to find Tyler in my apartment again, this time alone. "You look tired," he said, eyes roving. "Want me to help you relax?" I stepped back. "Tyler, I think we've crossed a line." His jaw tightened. "You think we're using you?" "I think I've done more than enough to cover rent. And this feels wrong." He laughed coldly. "You don't get to decide when the deal's done, Rachel. Not until we say so." That night, I packed a bag. I didn't have a plan, but I knew I couldn't stay. I called my old manager from Boston and asked if the position I'd left was still open. By some miracle, it was. The pay was terrible, but it came with housing. I left the next morning before sunrise, heart racing, terrified they'd catch me. I didn't leave a note. I didn't say goodbye. It's been 6 months since I left Tampa. I still get the occasional message from a blocked number, and sometimes I wonder if they ever tried to track me down. But I'm rebuilding now. Slowly. Safely. And I've learned something important: no roof is worth sacrificing your dignity. If someone tries to make you feel like you owe them your soul just to survive, get out. Even if it means starting over with nothing. Because freedom, real freedom, is worth everything.